So let me just take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Rajiv. I head technology partnerships and the startup program at Freshworks. So Freshworks is in the SaaS business of customer engagement and employee engagement. So we are a very fast-growing startup with close to $400 million in funding that we've raised. We are valued at about $3.5 billion. We are the first investment of Google outside of North America, and we have investors like Sequoia, Axel, and Tiger Global. So our products, we have products from the first touch point of a customer with a business to the last touch point of a customer with a business, starting from marketing automation, CRM, customer support, help desk, messaging, live chat, and a small telephony solution. And also we have solutions like for ITSM, HRMS, and collaboration, etc. So today, the topic that I'm going to be covering is on remote, turning on your remote mode and primarily delivering seamless support from anywhere. So who would have thought that all of us here would be working remote, and we've been working remote for more than 6 months now, right? So according to a global survey by Gartner, we figured out that 88% of organizations all over the world mandated their employees to work from home when the virus started to spread. This was supposed to be the situation in 2030 or 2035. The pandemic has accelerated 15 years of technology advancements into a matter of few months. And the human race, as always, survives in whatever situation we are in. So we've already proved that whatever hits us, we'll find a way to work through any kind of situation. And here, the the difference between any calamity and the pandemic is that it's a level playing field for everybody. Every industry was impacted, but there are some industries that were impacted very badly, some industries that were impacted in a very positive way. For example, the travel industry, we've seen that the travel industry is one of the worst hit because of the pandemic, right? So we've seen a immediate decline of close to 41% of air traffic in March, and people predicted that 90% of air traffic would be down in a matter of 2 months. Who would have thought? Airlines were growing like crazy. Air traffic across the globe was increasing. They were increasing the number of airports, flights everywhere. Tourism was flourishing before the pandemic hit, right? And you can see that that industry will take a lot more time than other industries to get up and be on its foot, because again, it's driven by fear. So, while on the other end of the spectrum, we saw industries like telemedicine, e-commerce, like grow like crazy. We've seen a 4% increase if in online shopping in 2020 from where it was in 2019, right? This is crazy. Nobody in the industry would have thought that we would be seeing such a huge increase in online shopping. And what it tells us is, if there is a situation that is coming in, there is always two ends to the spectrum. There are industries that are going to be really rapidly growing, and if you are a business that is trying to sell services into multiple other businesses, which are the industries that you should be focusing on to sell more? And what it also did in the pandemic world is that customers wanted to get in touch with businesses. That didn't stop. Transactions did not stop. Buying did not stop. The way we bought things, the way we interacted with people, the way we transacted changes. And that is what led to a huge increase in the volume of customer support, close to 20-25% in a few weeks, for service tickets being raised across the same period as last year, right? So this is like worldwide stat. A 20% jump for the same period from last year is not a joke, and nobody would have planned for it. And here we are talking about people who are not even available, right? Your contact center staff weren't able to go to office. They did not have enough sophisticated solutions to work on from wherever they are at home. Infrastructure across developing countries where most of the contact centers were housed were not developed, where people could operate from anywhere. So this just hampered the way customers were receiving responses from businesses whom they were working with, right? And that is pretty huge when it comes to impact. And you can see here what is the impact of COVID on incoming requests to almost all contact centers. We saw that Europe saw a huge spike, in number of tickets that were coming in to the ecosystem. North America, Europe, and LATAM saw the most impact with respect to increase in volumes in contact centers. We saw MENA impacted slightly, and APAC had a negative impact because there I think the whole operations were even more controlled, and it was a much more severe lockdown and stuff, where people did not, for a few months, the spike did not come up, but now I think the numbers are back to normal, right? So again, this I thought this might be a good time for us to take a quick pause and launch a poll where we are asking about how many of you who use different channels for support during this time. I guess you would have got the poll and you would have uh, put in your answers. Now, going to what is the impact of this? How is the market changing? Right. So we have seen impact across different verticals and different sectors. But when you drill down and see what is the exact change that we are seeing that people are adopting to digital much more rapidly than any time that was precedent to this, right? So people are moving. Digital initiatives across companies are accelerated. Customers are talking to businesses digitally. Businesses are buying from other businesses digitally. The supply chains have become much more digital, and people's behavior, where we are looking at, but when you're in a digital world, there are also some changes to expectations that come in very, very handy, right? So first is customers wanting to have instant gratification than being very slow about it. People who are serving customers globally would have realized that whenever a customer is on phone now, especially during the pandemic time, wants instant answers. He does not want to wait. People do not want to stay on long call queues. People do not want to talk in the same channel that they were talking. They were moving through different channels. So we saw a good stat where any contact center saw an uptake in 30% of new channels during this pandemic period. That was crazy, right? And in addition to that, we are also looking at delivery. Companies were expected to deliver as fast as they were delivering with very, very few staff, given the situation of the pandemic, right? So that was a game changer when it came to the pandemic. And these were some of the big changes in the market that we were looking at. So, and what does it mean to customer experience, right? So 1 in 3 customers would be leaving a brand if they receive one bad experience. That is the stat that we are seeing. And today, if all the businesses are not digital, then they are going to be leaving, not going to be meeting the increased customer demand. Then they are going to be losing a lot more customers, which is more painful because acquiring a customer in this pandemic world is very, very difficult, right? So given the situation, what can businesses do and what did they do to be able to provide exceptional services without impacting their staff and staffing models, and also to be able to survive the increased customer expectations thinking, right? So the main thing that contact centers and customer support teams did was to initiate contextual engagement. What we mean by contextual engagement is that you put the customer right in front of your whole business, and everybody who's interacting with the business, being marketing, be it sales, be it support, have the full context of the customer from all the interactions, be it across the website, being across chat, being across social, contact center, messaging. Everything comes in a single screen for the customer support agent and the customer engagement agents, and they will be able to take full-fledged actions much more quickly, right? And how do you achieve this, right? So just to give another stat here, 76% of customers expect agents to know their complete history, but only 35% of the customers feel that the agents actually know them. If you call up multiple people, right? So even if you call up your own bank, in many cases, whenever you call a bank, you still have to authenticate yourself. You still have to give the same information. What is my account number? What is my the device I'm logging in from? There's so much of information you need to repeatedly give to contact centers, which means that the contact center is not acting fully fully with the same context. They don't have the complete context about you. But today, with integrated technologies, we are able to provide the full 360 view of a customer to a contact center agent, which means that their responses are spot on, they are very, very fast, they are completely enabled to take fast actions, not just in their systems, but also in integrated systems. Think about it, right? So when you're talking about a contact center with for a travel company. So a customer is calling in to change the itinerary that he has purchased from you. If in the old world, the contact center agent will have to validate the customer, understand who the customer is, get his trip details, talking to the customer, asking his trip ID, booking ID, and multiple things, and then have to log in into his booking system, make all the changes there, copy paste the content, come back and put it back into the system so that the customer can receive the change. Right? This is very old school, and this is fully without context, which means every single interaction that you're this is also very expensive, because every single interaction you're having with your customer is very long. Right? With full 360 context, we are able to completely understand who the customer is, what they've done, and what is their purchase history, and also integrate with the booking systems directly within the same screen in Freshdesk, where the agent can make the changes in one click and send it directly to the customer in one click. So the amount of time that they need to work with the customer on the context with full context is very, very low. And we are seeing about 60 to 70% decline in AHTs if you are having full contextual engagements. And two parts, this is not very expensive. And second, this is on cloud completely, which means that you can access it from anywhere at any point of time. So these are all things that are advantages of adopting to a new age cloud system, right? And the main challenges that you face by CX teams today are it's all distributed. You're not working in your office anymore. You don't have the same access to the tool sets. Very difficult to collaborate, and there is very little knowledge management to be shared and best practices to be shared. So these are all impacting CX teams globally, and this is something that can also be fixed by adopting to common solutions that can help them fix it. Right? So how are teams fixing this? Right? First is in the increase in AI for support. In any channel that you interact with today, we have strong AI capabilities that you can deploy. Be it bots on your chat, on your website, on your even emails, where you can respond to customer requests. Right. Second, integration to knowledge management solutions and also third-party solutions in a single screen, where you are able to even if you are new, even if you are just learning the trade, you have enough support to understand and act on information with very minimal training. Right. Third is the omni-channel support. Irrespective of which channel the customer is talking to, you respond from the same screen. That helps you to be completely omni-channel, take increased demand, be very flexible on your responses to customers. And fourth, when you are expanding and adopting to CX technology, you are really helping customers where their whole interaction is tracked, and you can hyper personalize every interaction to the customer. So these are all things that we've seen to be very successful for teams. And the most important part, how you can do it, is first to identify quality data, and which you can really use for a lot of these automations. Don't try to automate every single process. That will not work. We pick processes where we have repetition, and we can start automating that. And we can use enough data from our customer responses, right, from knowledge bases to ticket data to CRM data and everything in one place, so your AI and ML can kick in from day one. Second, put the customer at the center. Provide your agents all the views where they'll be able to understand the full customer's journey, order information and everything, so that they can respond in a single click to the customer. Third, you have a self-service platform that will also enable customers to resolve most of the queries by themselves. Today, we see most customers do not want to be in contact with a person, but then solve for it themselves. Fourth, deploy your bots in every customer journey touch point. So these are all things that we can very easily do, and we can provide it from our solutions itself, right? And I just want to quickly get into the place where we show a quick case study. So I don't know how many of you here know Dune. Dune is one of the fast-growing fashion and footwear retailers. It's a 2,000 plus employee company and growing rapidly. And in the wake of COVID, they saw a 500% increase in calls and demand in other channels rising up, right? And what they were able to do is they were able to deploy the same teams remotely, working on Freshworks across. They increased the number of channels where customers could interact with them from, and started handling those queries very easily, okay, through a single integrated solution from Freshworks. With this, Dune was able to operate the same way they were operating before the pandemic, with much little people, and they were able to increase their automations to match their customer expectation demand, and they saw a good spike in CSAT also coming in because of this. I spoke like a bullet train. I would like to take a pause and ensure that you have our last poll launched.
Yes.
And at this point of time, I would also take a pause and take any questions coming from people.